Piggybacking off my last video about Riot using social status to keep you guys addicted to League, let's talk a little bit more about the actual physiology of status and why it can be such a powerful lever for young men especially. While I think I did a fine job in my last video, I think it's worth going into the mechanics of human evolution and understand the specific reasons why the pursuit of status can be so justifiable for men, and how Riot uses that biological imperative for their own advantage and keep you addicted for the long haul. If you guys are new here, my name is Raybees and I help people develop a healthy relationship with video games. When it comes to teaching people about controlling their addictive tendencies, my content is what I wish I would have seen when I first started out in gaming. This video on the physiological imperatives of chasing social status is part 2 of the video I discussed earlier last week, but you don't necessarily have to watch that one to watch this one. If you guys are interested in learning more about gaming addiction or even alleviating your own addictive tendencies, join my Discord and do the usual YouTube stuff of like and subscribe. So according to Dr. Rob Henderson, who's a relationship psychologist and US Air Force veteran, status, not looks, seem to be the biggest predictor of male success in dating.
For men, what is like the, more so than for women, a strong predictor of your sexual success, your romantic success, is your status, right? And status is this sort of amorphous, you can't look at status under a microscope or something, right? It's something that exists in the minds of other people, and people have to agree that you have it, right? Like, you don't get to decide if you have it, other people do.
Now, this is a quite important thing to understand because we've evolved to desire status, especially from our fellow men, because that's what usually results in finding a mate and making sure you get to leave a legacy behind. It's an internal biological imperative, one that Riot has gotten very good at abusing. This is why I'm even bothering to make a second video on the same topic, guys. This one in particular is particularly insidious because Riot is taking control of powerful systems that young men especially will have trouble controlling themselves against. See, before my status videos, the addiction levers that we've discussed so far has to do with external stimuli, like how complicated the game is or fucking esports tournaments, right? Using this biological mechanic, Riot is keeping you looping back to the game repeatedly, causing you to think of new and creative ways to justify your addiction as if it's some fucking holy pilgrimage that you're undertaking day after day. As social animals, humans place a lot of significance in their position within the social hierarchy. For both males and females alike, the social ladder is a crucial facet to how we view each other, how we compare ourselves to one another, and ultimately, how we view ourselves as a result of our comparison. This is important going forward in this video. No matter how many times we tell ourselves, stop comparing yourself to others and focus on yourself, king. Comparing ourselves to others is very strongly rooted into our psyche, and it takes years of dedicated rewiring to change the way we perceive value. Now, I'll cover more of that in the later parts of the video, but for now, let's try to understand why climbing the social ladder is a very powerful addiction trigger, and how Riot has basically mastered the art of abusing it to keep people hooked for years, sometimes even decades. Since the dawn of time, males have been tasked with providing resources. The men that have a greater propensity to garner resources and provide for their tribe are seen as higher value, and as a result have more benefits. Since it's important to the male experience, we've developed instinctual ways to measure ourselves against each other, to know how much we measure up and what benefits we'll get as a result of this comparison. Now, there's always this funny saying, comparison is often touted as the thief of joy. That means that humans were cursed to be miserable because comparing ourselves to others is a vital part of the human experience. With this in mind, let's discuss 3 ways that Riot uses the chase of social status to keep your ass addicted. The heinous thing with competitive video games especially, but League in particular, is that it streamlines that chase for social status with the solo queue ladder. Unlike using an intangible feeling of comparison, the ladder gives you a very tangible look on how you stack up against everyone else. They even added another ingenious feature which shows you where you rank in accordance to your fucking friend group. Thank God I didn't have this bullshit when I was in high school, because this would have only fueled my addiction even more. This tangibility is something to keep a close eye on because it's an extremely important facet of how video game companies design their products. By having clear-cut reward systems in place as well as a simple ladder system, players have an easy way of comparing themselves against each other, making the chase for social status that much more prominent and accessible. This is in stark difference to how real life operates. Say you're out with friends, right? Now, when you're out with friends, it's clear that one guy is the clear-cut leader. He might be the biggest or tallest, or the one that talks the most, or the one with the rich parents. However, there's no elo systems on your fucking foreheads telling everyone else what each of your rank is in relation to each other. Figuring out who the leader is amongst the group is a very intuitive process, one humans have evolved to do so by looking at shit like body language and facial expressions. Having that process not only streamlined, but also easily available for everyone else to see at all times creates a perpetual status struggle where people in the same friend groups are often vying to climb the social ladder by climbing the solo queue ladder. Remember guys, I expect explained this in my last video, Riot wants you to equate social status with your rank. That's why your rank will always be public, and Riot has even said in blog posts that they have no plans of making it private anytime soon. Now, why would they? It fuels the addiction even more. It makes people interact with their product even more, so why the fuck would they turn that feature off, right? I'm planning a more in-depth video on tangibility and how it's probably one of the biggest reasons of addiction, especially for competitive genres. So if that's something you guys are interested in, make sure to subscribe so you can stay tuned. Let's talk a little bit more about stimulation, the holy grail of all video game addiction, and the biggest thing we need to tackle if you want to break free of your compulsive tendencies. Nothing, and I mean fucking nothing, will be as fun as engaging in modern media, and it's only going to get worse from here, guys. Video games are particularly excellent at stimulating people because unlike some bullshit like anime or shows, video games are interactive. They simply drop you in the middle of the action and you have no need to imagine yourself within the story. You don't have to pretend to be that character, you can be that character. Because of this interactive element, gamers tend to develop a more intimate connection with their video games than people using other media. It's way easier to get addicted to a video game than it is to watching fucking anime. Like, who the fuck do you know that's actually addicted to watching anime? They're a weeb, yes, but they're not addicted. The interactive element makes you feel like you're part of the ride instead of just a bystander watching on. All of this without mentioning that completing stimulating tasks are just more fun for your brain than not. Like I've mentioned in my previous videos, would you rather grind for that particular battle pass reward or study for that test? Both of them are goals that our brains want to achieve, but our brain knows which one is ultimately the better option, but we will still pick the more fun option. The brain actually likes fun, guys, and that's another thing that video game devs use to pump as much stimuli for the dopaminergic systems to fry the receptors and keep you from even thinking about anything else. The third way that Riot uses the chase of social status to fuck your ass over is the accessibility factor. Assuming you're at the computer right now, how long does it take you to get into queue? 15 seconds? 10 seconds? Now think about how long it will actually take you to go outside and experience some real life dopamine, like playing fucking pickup basketball or talking to a cute girl. Significantly longer, right? The fact that it's so much easier for you to engage in the media and most importantly reap the rewards of said media is a huge proponent in driving addiction. We can all agree that status is an omnipotent indicator of success within men. It's what determines what kinds of opportunities open up to us in life. However, the catch with success, as with most things that are worth achieving, is that they take a shit ton of time. Look back in your life right now. There's only probably a handful of things in your life that you're genuinely proud that you achieved. And what do those things have in common? They were challenging to achieve. Anything worth its out takes patience, resilience, and critical thinking to achieve. Even though the process itself might be challenging, we look back on the experience positively because of the struggle and the positive qualities we've demonstrated to ourselves. Video game addiction is rampant because of how easy it is to engage in the medium in the first place. You can always turn down the difficulty low enough where you can still experience the joy of fucking beating some fucking dragon or coming back from behind to win a League of Legends game. The feelings and sensations that would only be possible after months and months of dogged dedication are now accessible with only a few button and mouse clicks. The prevalence of accessible hyperstimulation is a damning factor into why video game addiction is not only so rampant, but will continue to increase as technology becomes better and better at serving the stimulation demand. Instead of going through the slow slog of having to build yourself up unceremoniously over a long ass period of time, now you can just click away like a damn monkey for like 20 hours, accomplish some flashy in-game milestone like an objective or new rank, complete with all the bells and whistles, and have that status bestowed upon you by your friends that you play with or the game itself. You're becoming conditioned to want the status without any of the requisite hard work and future thinking. The more time you spend playing games, the less willing and capable you become when it comes to garnering real-world status that can have massive positive benefits in your life. Now think about that, guys. That actually is a vicious cycle because the worse you become at garnering real-life status, the more you want to escape into video games. And because video games make it harder and harder to chase that status, it just becomes a virtual cycle of like, you're never incentivized to leave the damn screen because you already get everything you want from the game and real life is just too hard. Accessibility also takes on a different connotation when it comes to playing with your friends. As humans, we're programmed to fit in with the crowd so we don't stand out and risk ostracization. If your friends are gathered around their lunch table yapping about League of Legends, you're infinitely more incentivized to play League as opposed to any other game, simply because you want to join in on the fun and you have fucking FOMO. The fear of missing out has always been a very powerful motivator throughout history. That's how companies convince our fucking moms to buy useless shit that they don't need for the house, just put them on sale. Especially in a cliquey environment like school, where young men don't fully have the ability to carve their own path in life. They're much more likely to follow the most popular game that everyone is playing so they can feel included in the conversation. When I was in high school, it was League. Nowadays, it's probably like Fortnite or Black Myth Wukong or any other bullshit. Now, it's time to drop some ways to alleviate the power of chasing status within your own gaming journey. And here's the crazy thing, guys. The fact that you even have this drive and motivation to get good at games is not actually a bad thing. I know it runs counter to everything I've been rambling about for the past several minutes, but think about it. If you can prove to yourself that you're someone that will endure the banality of grinding grinding and still have the perseverance to achieve something meaningful, that's a very powerful instinct to have. That puts you in the same league as some of the most successful and fulfilled people around us. It shows that you're a healthy individual who has the propensity to have goals and ambitions and is willing to put themselves through thick and thin to accomplish those goals. Now that you have proven to yourself and everyone else around you about the talent for life that you possess, it's time to de-simulate your brain so you can focus that talent for life in other fruitful endeavors than a fucking border rank up animation or something. Slowly but surely cut down video games from your life. I recommend something ludicrously small, like 1 minute per day, and in a few months you're gonna have a lot more free time left over to concentrate on other areas of your life. This is what I did. Just 1 minute a day, and like in 3 months you have fucking 90 minutes. That's an hour and a half, and over the course of like 2 years you'll be completely fine. You'll just inject good habits slowly but surely. Think of it like progressive overload in the gym, but like very, very, very slowly. Remember what I said about the accessibility of stimulation? That 1 minute might seem like a laughably small amount to you, but that's a consistent protocol that I ran a few years ago to completely put an end to the rampant hours of me spending time playing video games. And some of you might be saying, well, even if I had the free time, I don't know what the fuck to do with it. That's fine. I didn't know what the fuck to do with it either, because all of my mental bandwidth was spent trying to solve the infinite optimizations of League of Legends. Give yourself some breathing room away from the game. You'd be surprised by how many ideas that your brain can come up with when you simply give it the time away from the hyper-processing environment of League and other competitive video games. You guys might be actually surprised by how smart and creative that your brains can actually be. The problem is you never give it a chance to work its magic because you're feeding it all of this processed stimulatory bullshit. The same way a person can never see their abs because they're always overfeeding, like a fat fuck. If you guys want more specific step-by-step processes that can help you specifically on how to cultivate a dopamine detox and stuff like that, just hit me up on Discord and we can arrange that. I'll leave part 1 of the social status video on screen here for you, as well as my full playlist on fighting League of Legends addiction, so you can get caught up on all of them if you missed it. That's it from me, guys. I'll see you in the next one. And remember, although it might seem hard, it's actually quite easy to develop a healthy relationship with video games. Follow me and I'll show you how.